Welcome back, dear listeners, to AIBiz, the podcast where we explore how artificial intelligence and human intelligence meet to create the real impact in business, creativity, and consciousness. I'm your host, Avik, and today's conversation is going to hit that rare sweet spot between funny and profound. My guest is, please welcome, Hersh Rephun. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Avik. It's great to be with you.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'd love to introduce you with Harsh. So, Harsh is a screenwriter turned PR maven, turned stand up comic, turned, oh my god, holistic personal brand therapist. You can understand with whom we are having the show today. Yeah. So, yeah. And, dear listeners, you heard that right. And I mean, every twist in that journey has led him to one powerful mission, which is helping people sell the truth. Yeah. So hers is the creator of the hit podcast Truth Tastes Funny and the author of the upcoming book Selling the Truth, a memoir with insights for life and business. So he's known for his ability to blend humor, uh, heart, and strategy, showing entrepreneurs like how to turn their mess into their message and um, also their pain into the personal power. And today we are exploring like how AI fits into that, how technology can actually help us communicate more authentically, build trust, and connect with real human emotion in a world that's increasingly artificial. So I'll not take much of your time, listeners. Hirsch, welcome to AI Biz, and it's really great to have you here on the show.
Thanks, Avik, and thanks for the introduction. I'm excited about this interview in particular because AI is so prominent a tool in all of our lives, no matter what we do, and I think that coming up with a way um, to utilize it and really
Mhm.
truly exploit it to
Yeah,
make that personal connection is exciting to me.
exactly true. I mean, it's AI is something which is, I mean, everywhere we are using, and it is actually saving the time. So yeah, lovely. So sailing the truth, um, I mean, the title of your book, it flips the marketing on its head. Like most people associate sales with spin. So what inspired you to turn that idea inside out? What do you say?
Well, we live in a world where the truth is harder than ever to decipher or
Yeah.
determine. And, there's two sides to technology. The book
Mhm.
is not about technology, but I definitely address AI and technology and deep fakes, things like that in the book, where, you know, a lot of people call it a post-truth world. Where do we go when we can't all agree on the truth? And so first of all, what happened was I was like, well, look, my whole life I've
Mhm.
been engaged in selling one way or another. I've either been a screenwriter, in which case I was, selling stories. I was a stand-up comedian, in which case I'm selling truth, kind of cloaked in humor. Um, I worked in PR, where I always felt that building somebody's image was not about creating an illusion. It was about taking fact and making that the thing that works best for the client. And then when I went into personal brand building,
Yeah.
it was very similar. It's an extension of what I did in PR. It's much deeper, but it's still about selling the truth, taking the truth about who somebody is and turning it into a lever of authority. And
Mhm.
so with the book, I wanted to take all of those experiences and figure out how to share my experiences in a what I call a semoir, like a semi-memoir. So a lot of anecdotes, a lot of funny stories, a lot of trial and error and things that have failed and things that have worked really well, all
Mm.
kind of rolled up into a book that can be a guide for anyone who wants to sell the truth about themselves in life or business.
Mm. That's interesting. So, like, kind of, was there a defining moment? I mean, maybe during a comedy or the PR days when you realize that the truth actually sells better than kind of any tagline ever could.
Yeah, well, I never tried selling anything else, but
Mhm.
I was aware of all the different personalities out there that do try to,
Mhm.
uh, sell untruths. So there's what we would call, like a BS artist, someone who just makes stuff up and is always telling some kind of fanciful tale. There's the snake oil salesman, person who's trying to sell something that they know doesn't work, but they just want the money. They just want the sale, and then they move on to the next town and the next group of people who are willing to pay them for something they know that the person who's selling it knows doesn't work. There is the siren, if you think about Greek mythology and sirens that called to sailors and charmed them into going off course.
Mm.
You know, there's a lot of different forces at work that try to disinform or delude us. And so my goal was not just to arm the reader with the ability to sell their own truth, but
Mm.
also the ability to figure out, well, who shouldn't I believe? And when you ask, is there a defining moment?
Mhm.
There are a lot of defining moments. I think there are a lot of defining moments but all over the last 5 years. So I think that the pandemic
Mhm.
was a time where I started to do a lot of self development and personal exploration of the things I believed and the things that, why did I believe what I believed? And really testing my own beliefs and the things that I believe to be true about myself, about the world. And so maybe it was that isolation that came with lockdown and COVID and all of those things where I just only had, for the first time, really, the time to dive into some of these things and figure out what was really going on.
Mm. Very interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely, it's really brilliant because truth as strategy and spirituality rolled into one. And uh, it's not just about the good ethics, but it's a good business.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. And in the beginning, like we were discussing about the AI and also if I say about the authenticity, right? So uh, we live in a world where AI can write, design, even speak for us as well. But in your view, how do we use AI without losing the authenticity? I mean, without um, kind of outsourcing the very human parts of storytelling.
Yeah, I think what a lot of us miss
Hmm.
is that AI is not a substitute for humanity or a uh, a machine that is going to put out brilliance and information and even translation without being properly educated. You know, the thing that if we think back to our own development as
Mhm.
human beings, as business people, as creators,
Mhm.
what informed us? Well, it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's our entire life story. It's everything that made us who we are. AI doesn't know these things.
Mm.
AI has no way, ChatGPT or whatever LLM we're using, they don't have that information. And most of us are not famous And so there are not books written about us. There are not, and even if there were, are they accurate? So what I set out to do over the past few years is to develop a framework for a personal brand that allows us to create what I call a brand voice guide. And the brand voice guide is very deep and very profound, and it has all of the language that we need to talk about ourselves. You know how when you ever hear of like a 30-second elevator pitch, right?
Yeah.
Well, if someone has a 30-second elevator pitch, what happens next? They've memorized 30 seconds about themselves. And then where does it go? Well, it has to go deeper. They need a whole language to talk about themselves. So I develop with my clients, and I'm now doing it in groups. I have something called the Authority Lab where I take up to ten people a month to work with them as a group on developing their individual brand voice so that they can have, after 90 days, a brand voice guide that they could, if they want, feed into their AI and say, this guide, this document, and it's maybe 15, 20 pages. They said, this document is the essence of who I am, the essence of who I want to project to my audience and how I want to be perceived, my authority, my expertise, everything that has really truly influenced me that AI needs to know is in that guide. And if you feed that guide to your AI, now the output will be substantive. It's not a substitute for you, but it's certainly a incredible utility.
True. Exactly. And I mean, have you found any ways that you personally use AI that actually deepen rather than kind of dilute your creative voice?
Yeah. Yeah, I use the same method. So I have fed my first of all, I treat my Chat GPT, uh, as like a, what I call little brother. It's not supposed to be me. It's my protege. It's somebody I'm grooming, let's say, to understand my voice, understand my philosophies, understand my personality and my goals and my values. So I'm teaching it all of those things. Now, how do I use it? Well, I can go to my AI and I can say, I'd like to write an article about such and such about this and that and this. Here are my ideas. What are your ideas? And it can come, it's like a creative partner. It comes back to me. It says, here's how I see the article, and it's a give and take. So if you imagine it as something of an apprentice, an apprentice communicator for me,
Mhm.
because I'm a communicator. That's my job. But I have an apprentice, and I had looked for people to be that apprentice, but I had never really found it because um, I wanted to help people, mentor people to find their own voice, not to really carry mine on. And so now I realize AI is that amazing tool for me, a way to refine, uh, apprentice and carry on my voice in some fashion.
True. Exactly. Exactly true. Um, and I love that because, AI as an amplifier of authenticity and not as a kind of impersonator of it. So,
Right. Yes.
yes,
Very well said.
yeah, the tech is not a kind of the storyteller. It's kind of, I'd say, um, it's a megaphone basically, right? So
Yes.
yeah, true. Like,
Yeah, and you really hit on something, Avik, which is that it's not an impersonator,
yeah.
and I think a lot of us were told or thought initially, oh yeah,
Mm.
it's gonna do everything that I would have to do. Well, it does a lot of things that you don't want to do. It can try a lot of things very quickly that would take us much longer to do. It can give us something that isn't a blank page, but if it's amplifying who we are and what our creativity is, it's getting more out of us. Forget about what you get out of AI. Your audience is getting more out of you if you use it properly.
Correct. Correct. Exactly. Amazing. And also like, as someone who's lived at the intersection of creativity, communication, consciousness, I mean, how do you see like AI reshaping the storytelling landscape in the next decade?
Well, it's hard to say because we don't know
Yeah.
how much, technology will evolve. But let's say if in the next decade we could do a couple of things. One would be that we figure out what the role of AI is supposed to be in our individual lives. So, over the next couple of years, I think people are going to start to figure out what AI does for them. Then they can figure out, how do I properly disclose this to my audience? You know, if you use a if you u now, if you're a writer and you use Google to get information and do research, I mean, you use, footnotes
Mm,
in your book. My book doesn't have a ton of footnotes, but I quote certain sources and statistics, and I footnote them. Well, it's similar with AI. In other words, if I write in my book, Selling the Truth, I used no AI. I didn't. I just didn't use it at all. It never entered my mind. It wasn't that kind of book. But let's say I do my next book and I do use it, I should have in the notes at the end, "Oh, I wrote this book in consultation with my little brother AI that I've groomed as my apprentice." And in some cases, I've noted where they made a
mm,
contribution, whatever it might be,
yeah.
noted as a contributor. But when people read the book, they're not going to think, oh, this person took a bunch of stuff, threw it in a machine for 2 minutes,
Mm,
spat a bunch of stuff out, and then put it on as a book. You know,
yeah.
they're
Exactly.
going to know this is a deep and substantive piece of work.
Mm,
So I think over the next 10 years, if we can start to find our footing as storytellers, and this may be the biggest thing, Avic, this may be the biggest development,
yeah.
because I certainly want it for my clients. I don't want my clients to need writers anymore. And I don't mean that writers should be out of work, etc. What I mean is, in order to communicate, they need the language. And in order to create the language, they need my help. But I don't think they really should need someone to write their emails, someone to write their newsletter, someone to write their ad copy. I think that they can figure that out if they're given the right tools, and my job is to create those tools.
Mm,
And also, if they're given the right perspective, because we need perspective, we need other people's opinions. And I really don't believe that AI should be the other opinion. I believe that human beings should be the people that we consult for perspective. So whether it's me or someone else who can do what I do in some different way,
mm,
uh, that human element is necessary. So I think the roles will evolve over the next 10 years, and hopefully to a place where we're all doing better at what we do than we are right now.
exactly. Exactly true. Amazing. And I'll just quickly ask, like, if you could give every entrepreneur, or maybe the brand one, um, a truth principle to guide how they use AI, then what would it be?
The first order of business is
Mhm.
to know yourself. Um,
Exactly.
the journey that I took, where I didn't necessarily know what the end point would be, and this isn't even the end point, this is the next point,
Mhm.
but it really was about sincerely wanting to know myself. And so go on a journey of self-exploration before you brand yourself. Before you try to create a brand, you know, figure out what are your values? What do you stand for? What was the most important development in your life when it comes to your profession? What were the turning points? You know, ask yourself these questions and start to formulate answers. And whether it's
Yep.
working with somebody like me who can guide you through that process, or just doing it on your own,
Mm.
uh, with your own, with your own methods, before you even embark on the AI tool as a core uh, tool in your toolkit,
Mm.
really get to know yourself.
Exactly. Amazing. Harsh, I mean, this has been such an incredible ride and funny, deep, and disarmingly honest. Definitely, I'd say. So, uh, and also, dear listeners, I have to say that Harsh has reminded us that the truth is not about something that we need to kind of invent. It's something that we need to allow, right? So, uh, I mean, in a world which is obsessed with the kind of algorithms, automations, and blah blah blah, your message is very clear,
Thank
right?
you.
The most powerful brand, the most powerful story, and is the one that's human. Amazing, amazing.
And by the way, I would just add, and thank you for this platform. Um, I would just add that
Mhm.
when we talk about authenticity and people use the word authenticity so much, just think of it in terms of, your personal truth. That's what people want. People want your personal truth. And so the word authentic means real. That's great, but what does it mean to be real? What it means to be real is to get to get down with yourself and really know who you are.
Exactly, exactly, it's true. And so, dear listeners, everyone who of you listening, or maybe you will be listening, ask yourself that: are you selling what you do, or are you just sharing like who you are? Because the truth is, your truth is your most magnetic asset, right? So, dear listeners, to learn more about Hirsch, check out his podcast, Truth Tastes Funny, and his upcoming book, Selling the Truth, a Memoir with insights for life and business. And if you're curious about discovering your own hidden assets, don't miss his free inventory call, and you will find the details in the show notes. So, um, Hirsch, if you can share like where people can find you, or if they want to connect with you, what would be the great medium?
Yes, thank you. Well, the book, first of all, is out. The book is
Mhm.
out now,
Oh.
and they can get it at sellingthetruthbook.com, sellingthetruthbook.com, and they can get a hold of me uh, on LinkedIn or via yesbrandbuilders.com. Yesbrandbuilders.com has everything, all my podcasts and my services and contact info and so forth.
Amazing. Amazing. So, dear listeners, as I mentioned, I'll put all the links into the show notes. And with this hope, this is your host, Avik, and this is AI Biz, where innovation meets integrity, and the future belongs to those who have the courage to be real. So, until next time, stay curious, stay conscious, and keep telling the truth, even when it sells itself. So, thank you so much.